What's good? Lucky Lefty Podcast. Your boy Shaun Davis. The Onora boys are back. Happy New Year to everyone out there in the Notre Dame fan base, LL Nation, IB Nation, however you're connected to the Lucky Lefty Podcast. We greatly appreciate you. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know we spin it different. Left is, I don't know what Left is doing, man. He came in, he jumped out. I think he's having some issues with his computer right now, trying to get things set and in order so we can have a wonderful show, man. It is the first Lucky Lefty podcast of the year, and we're going to do things a little bit different. We had a discussion on yesterday, and we felt like, you know what, let's talk about what we learned about Notre Dame and what Notre Dame needs to do from the CFP. What did we learn about Notre Dame and what Notre Dame needs to do from the CFP semifinals that took place on New Year's Eve? Two fantastic games. I can't wait for Left to come in, break down some things we talked about yesterday. But the LL question of the day. We want to know, how are you guys doing out there? What's the biggest change you're going to make to your life? What's the biggest change you're going to make to your life? We're all about positivity right here on the Lucky Lefty Podcast. As always, everyone is in our prayers and in our thoughts. You, not only you, but your families. We're just interested in knowing, what are you guys going to lock in on and add to your life or change about your life in 2023? It's LL question of the day. All right. So after we talk about that, then we're going to get some nice audio from Marcus Freeman in his press conference. And to say the least, I was very much impressed with not only what I saw towards the end of that game, but also what I was able to hear Marcus Freeman talk about in his press conference. I thought he was very succinct. I thought the things he said at the beginning of the year that a lot of people took issue with as the season played out, you know, you came to realize, like, okay, he was being very transparent and honest, and he's a man of his word. What he said day one, he's saying still right now. And, that's the type of head coach and type of leader that you want. I will say this, though. One of the things he mentioned in the press conference was the bumpy road. And my grandfather used to say something, Left. Anytime I had a problem, my grandfather would tell me, man, did you learn anything? And I would be like, what? He's like, did you learn anything? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I did. He said, good. Because if you learn something, all you had was a situation. You'll never have a problem.
There you go.
So this 2022 thing, this 22 season for Notre Dame, as long as Marcus Freeman, the coaching staff, the recruiting staff, the support staff, and the players learn something, we shouldn't have any problems moving forward in 23. If we see the same things popping up in 23, then we got a problem. So let's hope in this off season that they've learned something and they keep everything that happened in 2022 to merely being just a situation at Notre Dame.
Yeah, we want to leave the bad behind us and definitely move forward and have a new challenge ahead of us. Like you said, it's about situations, not problems. And I think one of the situations we had was a quarterback situation, and we handled it. So I like the trend in us handling situations and having a plan for it so far. Now let's do it for our D line and get somebody huge and up front.
Yeah, they're going after. They offered a kid from Utah State, by the way, which I actually watched Utah State versus BYU in preparation for the Notre Dame BYU matchup out in Las Vegas, and I didn't know Utah State defense had led the nation the previous year in 21 with quarterback pressures and sacks. Their style, they play a very unorthodox stand up Everybody stand up at the defensive line, a line of scrimmage style of defense, and they move around a lot. So it'll be very interesting to see. And we'll get to that later on in the show. But the first segment we're going to talk about left. What did we learn about Notre Dame? What did we learn about Notre Dame from the CFP semifinals? Can I get you point number one left? Your quarterback has to be resilient.
Yes.
In these games, these big time games, your quarterback has to be able to handle the ups and downs of that particular game. And I think we saw that evidence by all four quarterbacks in some way, form, or fashion.
Each one of them had to battle back. Each one of them had to be in tough situations where the quarterback had to be the best one on the field, and each one of them had moments. And I think those games were definitely played by the best quarterbacks in the country at this time.
Number two, you're going to have to put up some points to win a championship, bro. And you know why? You're giving really good offenses and really good coaches over a month to prepare for you.
Yeah.
It's really kind of unfair for the defense rather than having like 3 or 4 days in a week to prepare for a defense and a team. When you give good players and good coaches over a month, this is what you're going to continue to get.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of really well thought out game plans where you're like, are they playing any defense? Yes, they just have really good game plans against it. So,
and the expansion is going to change that a little bit because now the week model is going to be give you a shorter time. You won't be able to just spend all of that time preparing for one team. Now you have to prepare for the matchup, even if you're in the top four. You get the bye week, but you got like maybe 2 weeks, right, to prepare rather than the usual time that you're going to have. So it should be interesting. It should cut down on that. Maybe defense will become more prevalent in these games, but I think moving forward, once you get to that national championship and the semifinals, you're going to have to put up minimum 40 points.
At
minimum.
least.
And if you can't put up 40 points against good teams, yeah. Now, I might be petty with this third point left. You got to play somebody. You got to play somebody. And I saw a clip that someone pulled that was an obvious, was on the TCU staff. I forget her name. I retweeted it. And I apologize for not knowing her name right now. I retweeted it, and she basically posted a clip of Mad Dog Stephen A. in the mouth of the South, Fine Bum, talking about how Michigan was going to demolish TCU because TCU didn't play anybody in the Big 12, right? And she called them clowns. And I retweeted it and I said, well, they actually make a great point because Michigan didn't play anybody. I think they just picked the wrong team to put that because Michigan didn't play anybody all year. And the two teams that they played, they got smacked. Now they came back,
Yeah.
but we can be real. TCU for the majority of the game was smacking Michigan. Great comeback. Resilient team. Show great heart.
They were smacking Michigan the whole time.
The whole time. TCU was the most physical team. See, that's why you have to play people. That's why you have to play people. Right? Oh, I'm sorry. Not the last two. I'm tripping. I was already preparing my Ohio State stuff when I said the last two games. I'm sorry. I misspoke. Tried to be physical, but this goes to preparation too. Tip of the cap to Sonny Dykes and his staff. Tremendous job, especially early on. You know, the linebackers did not allow Michigan's offensive line to get to the second level. As soon as they saw a crease, they went through. They came downhill, and they were very disruptive early. Very disruptive early. And when I saw Michigan go to the flea flicker early, I said, oh, yeah. They're going in the trick bag already? Okay. It's a problem. Isn't it amazing to see another?
Outdated, though. They felt
Hmm.
outdated in their adjustments, running a Philly special,
Yeah,
running a flea flicker early. I'm like, are you guys in 2016 or what?
yeah,
The plays that you gotta get people with nowadays is some creative stuff that you see from Texas Tech, you see from a TCU, you see from a USC. Michigan, they're so traditional in their play calling that their non-traditional plays are obvious. So waste of time to watch. I knew they didn't really stand a chance if they couldn't out physical this team, and TCU got the message and they responded well.
yeah. They absolutely responded well. So you got to play somebody, right? Saw a Michigan fan, talking about Notre Dame needs to jump in a conference. And I asked him, I said, we play USC, Clemson, and Ohio State next year. Give me your tough games. I said, I'll wait. You go look at your Big Ten schedule. Give me your three toughest games.
Yeah,
I'll wait. And then you tell me why it's so important for us to be in a conference. Like, because obviously the Big Ten didn't get you ready.
no,
It didn't get you ready for that semifinal. So why should we come and get the same preparation? For what? That's a step down, in my opinion, left from a schedule standpoint.
no, absolutely.
So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Number four, as much as you got to put up points in the biggest moments, it's going to come down to your defense getting stops.
Yeah,
So you can talk about offense, points, offense. Defense getting stops. That's why Ohio State is sitting at home.
that's why I stay sitting at home.
That's,
Absolutely.
that's why they're sitting at home. If your defense can't get stops, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, they played a great game. They played a great game. Really, the third quarter is the bet. That pocket in the third quarter is when the Ohio State defense stepped up.
Yep.
So you can say either their defense stepped up or Stetson Bennett was playing really bad at that point. Combination of the two, whatever it was. All I know is they were up 14 points in the fourth quarter with about 10 minutes left, and they lost.
And they lost.
They lost. So I don't like place kickers anyway. I just dislike when you have two teams battle like that and it comes down to a kicker. It's just not fair. But it is what it is. Fifth, coaching. Left. You got to have good coaching, bro. You got
Got
to
to.
have good coaching. Kirby Smart had two of the best timeouts in a big game that I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, timing of those timeouts were definitely legendary, definitely game impacting and game changing. That was crazy.
Yeah. So,
Icing the kicker.
and the one that stopped the fake punt
Yep.
was basically that, man. It was tremendous. I looked at it at first and rewatching the game. I questioned why he went for the field goal for his first points of the fourth quarter. Like, man, what is he doing? Like, and he still, I think it was right under 10 minutes left when he kicked the field goal. And then I looked at the down and distance because that was like right after Stetson Bennett had thrown that horrible swing pass to Lad McConkey. I don't know what he was doing on that play. Matter of fact, that was one of the most questionable play calls by Todd Monken all night, in my estimation. Which,
Yeah.
and dude, can I add this? Because I didn't even have this down. Hey, man, you got to come with something different to win a national championship. That cat, Todd Monken, look, Todd Monken sets things up. You can see it, man. He set that stuff up down the middle of the field all night. For the first
All
three
night.
quarters, primarily, they were running crossers, they were running slot fades, and they were running deep ends. That's what they were primarily doing, right? And those were the throws that started to get batted down in the third quarter in key situations because they were successful with it. Man, they had six. You got to have some variety. I thought you realize Georgia, bro, which ties directly into Notre Dame. Georgia loves to run the ball, just like Notre Dame.
Yep.
They want to be physical. Not tight ends, bro. Not counting the tight ends. He completed passes to six different wide receivers, bro.
Wow.
Not counting the tight ends. Six receivers. Six. You have to have variety in your passing game. It cannot be centric. They lost one of their big tight ends in the second quarter.
Yep.
They had the winning touchdown went to a guy that it only came back because he was able to get healthy during bowl preparation. He catches the winning touchdown. Kier Jackson, injured last year, comes back. He's mostly the special teams guy. Catches the big catch down the seam on that last drive. The true freshman, Harris, he twisted Ransom into the ground. Twisted him into the ground on that 75-yard touchdown, or 77-yard touchdown
Yeah.
in
And
the
they
fourth
caught a
quarter.
holding.
Dude, look, true freshman. Fourth quarter, you got Thor and Burton, the transfer from Georgia. All of those four guys caught passes as wide receivers in the fourth quarter. You got to have some variety, man. It was the same thing with C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud hit five different receivers. Five different receivers throughout the night. You
They
have to have
still
variety.
had Marvin Harrison going.
Yes, you have to have variety in the passing game, man. It cannot be, and this goes to what we need to see from Notre Dame in the passing game. Yes, the wide receiver room was short on numbers. It's been short on numbers for like the previous two seasons. We know the defections. We know the transfers out. We know the recruiting wasn't really there. They have five coming in with the four-man class in 23. Caleb Smith, the transfer from Virginia Tech. You have five receivers coming into a room that has a lot of guys staying, unless we hear different in the few weeks or next coming days. You have to have five or six of those guys as playmakers, man. Like five or six of those
Yeah,
guys have to make plays consistently on Saturdays in order for this offense to be ready to win a national championship.
that's right.
So,
And I think we're building that depth in that receiver room we have right now. And I think what Deion Cosley said back during a week ago, talking about the receivers being hungry, I think that receiver room hunger is going to grow with the addition of these young guys coming in that have the idea that they're getting in some time next year, which should promote the room to be more competitive. Chancey Stuckey should be coaching his butt off, having guys ready to go because we know from watching the bowl game, Tyler Buckner's going to sling it downfield, give guys chances. It may
mhm,
not be as often as it can be, but it's more often than it was. And I think this is going to give the green light not only to the quarterback room, but to the receiver room that if you get open, we can light it up on the scoreboard at the receiver position as well.
absolutely. Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Lucky Lefty Podcast. We appreciate you. Hit that like button. Hit the notification bell. Every time we go live or post something, you'll get that notification and know to come check out what we're doing. CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. Once again, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Great content. Leave 5 stars. Leave your comments. We greatly appreciate you. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know we spin it different. So we went through those things and we came up with 7 things that we learned. Now let's really connect the dots to Notre Dame to see if they have that in place left or if it's something that needs to happen. I guess we just handled the variety of the quarterbacks and the wide receivers in the passing game. So let's go back to number one. Your quarterback has to be able to handle adversity and be resilient. Based upon the Gator Bowl, regardless of who comes in via the transfer portal, Tyler Buckner kind of, in a way, kind of answered that, did he not?
Tyler Buckner definitely answered that he deserves to be in that quarterback room and can lead a team to a lot of wins. The question where we are as a team, as a program, is can he win those two big games? And right now, I just think he needs a season to get some of that polishing in. Uh, I think he shows an array and a different variety of ability and talent that you want from a quarterback that can win the big games. I just think that you know being a little too careless with the football is not what you're looking for all the way. You look at Ohio State and CJ Stroud, even though they lost, he had 4 touchdowns and 0 turnovers. So even with 0 turnovers, you put yourself in position to win, even though they didn't come out with the victory. You still need to have 0 turnovers in order to have a chance. And having 3 and 2 pick sixes in it are not game winning type of stats. So I do believe he has the capability with a lot of upside that he can get the job done on a high elite level. But I do think that bringing a guy in, hopefully like Sam Hartman, could be the polish that we're looking for to win now, and then have Tyler or maybe even Kenny Minchie in the future.
And to just add to that before we get to point number two and how that connects to Notre Dame, only one of the quarterbacks didn't turn the ball over, and that was CJ Stroud. Every other quarterback turned the ball over. So you have to be resilient. Like it was a bad interception by Duggan, and then he had one that was the receiver should have caught the ball, got popped up in the air. Wow. How about this? Another quarterback in a big bowl game throws 2 pick sixes. Oh, I thought Tyler was the only one that could do that. So JJ McCarthy did it. Like things happen, man. You have to be resilient. The kid came back from it and got his team back in the game without the running game leading the way for Michigan. You tip your cap, but that's part of being resilient and part of being a leader. Uh, Dude, Stetson Bennett played some of the worst football I've seen him play in the middle of that game.
Yeah, he definitely was revealing himself to be just an average guy, uh, as behind a superstar team, especially a defense. But it was different. The defense wasn't able to be lights out as well as it was last year. Not because they couldn't be lights out, just because they were going against a juggernaut and a quarterback that's going to be uh, top two drafted. Hopefully this year. So Stetson Bennett showed that when he's against equal talent with a defense that isn't, giving you historic numbers, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised by it. I hope a lot of fans can see between the lines that he is just a dude. You got to think him on another level playing against, top talent every week in the NFL. A Kyler Murray one week, and then you get a Matt Stafford the next week. These are matchups where the other team's quarterback is pretty solid too, and those are, unfortunately, those are the moments where you get to see the authentic, true Stetson Bennett. But he was still able to have some good moments and put himself in good company, being able to be one of three quarterbacks that go back to back with Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson being in there too.
And to people that differentiate, man, be better. Stop. Don't be that weak. And I don't care who you're playing. Quarterback shouldn't throw 2 pick sixes. I don't care if they're playing at the local park. Period. If we want to talk about the pick sixes, one was a tip pass for Tyler. Both of JJ McCarthy's were absolutely ridiculous. He threw the ball right to the linebacker, looking dead in his face. And he knows, look, your arm is not good enough to make that throw from the opposite hash. It's the same thing we say about Tyler Buckner. Stop throwing these out routes from the opposite hash. You're not that dude. unless you're heavily an anticipatory quarterback like Drew Brees that's throwing the ball before the dude gets out of his break.
Yeah.
Stop. Stop. Competition doesn't mean anything. They were bad decisions by both players. But I
By
just
both
thought,
players. Yeah.
the way people reacted to Tyler Buckner, I just thought no other quarterback has ever done that, especially the guy coming in the transfer portal that did the same thing in this regular season.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think at the end of the day, the cream rises to the top, and that's what you learn from these playoff games is that the best players of the best team come out on top, which is why I think the playoff schedule that is coming out with how they're doing week to week is pretty good because now we get to see what teams look like under stress to see who can be the best team. So maybe you see some upsets with teams that you feel like should win on an easy Sunday breeze with a month to advance or a month to prepare. Now I got to be stressed having back to backs like the NFL having a Thursday night and a Monday night and a Sunday night.
Right. Lucky Lefty podcast. You got to put up 40 points. Now, this goes to what we saw in the Gator Bowl, um, something that you can touch on left as an OC, right? As an OC, how limited is your creativity based upon the quarterback?
The quarterback determines a lot of what you can do from a variety of different uh, styles of what he's comfortable with. Some quarterbacks aren't great under center. Some are great in shotgun. Some are great rolling out. Some are great, play action and different things like that. So you got to find what the quarterback's really good at, and then you base it off of that and then sprawl from that and find different creative ways to find the same type of movement or same type of throws or things that they can do well in a different variety. So uh, with a dynamic quarterback, for instance, like Bryce, you can just start going, paint anywhere. But with a guy like, especially early on, like Tyler Buckner, you want to be able to find, okay, he's really good at running. How can I mix that with the play action? How can I mix that with the running backs we have? And there, so
Yeah. Not only do you have to do that, but your defense has to step up and make plays, right? We saw that in the Gator Bowl, right? In the second half, after struggling to line up early and confusion and allowing points, and Marcus Freeman said it. He said he told his team at halftime the score should be 17-10. That should be the score. We should be up 17-10. Let's go out and do what we need to do and win this game. And they still were able to face adversity and come up with the victory 45-38 over South Carolina. But it was mainly because even though the offense played well and put up 45 points with the turnovers, they hit a lull. They hit a lull right there in that third quarter where they weren't able to really do anything in the second half. And Notre Dame's defense got 3 and outs on 3 of 4 series and kept things in check and kept South Carolina away from going up double digits. That was the ball game. Like we said, the defense has to at some point make plays and get stops to be able to win a championship or win a Gator Bowl like they were able to do last week.
100% defense played lights out in just the moments that we needed. 3 back-to-back-to-back stops when the offense is struggling shows a lot of strength within where the team comes from. And that's when you draw that line, the defense is the one that's going to draw it. And making great plays like that came in handy for an offense that just needed another startup, and having great field position with those 3 and outs came in handy for Tyler Buckner, who was rusty but got on his feet and finished the game well.
And the way you do that is by tackling. Like that's really when you get these offenses that spread you out left, like no one's about to try to run straight ahead against Georgia. No one's about to try and do that. You have to spread them out. Alabama did it last year. Ohio State did it this year with a really good quarterback. That's the only way you really can take advantage of them where they're susceptible most of the time. That's in the secondary. You got to tackle. Like eventually Georgia had to tackle and put some pressure on the quarterback. That's what you do. And Notre Dame, you said it left. Eventually, we're going to have to put tremendous pressure on the quarterback at Notre Dame, and then we're going to have to be able to tackle in space at the linebacker position and
Yeah,
that's the secondary positions.
yeah, you're absolutely right. Tackling in space is the momentum killer that you need on defense, and to stress an offense out, especially that feels like they're gaining momentum throughout the game. Tackling in open space is what helps the defense not only make stops and gives them the yardage on third down they need to make it longer, but also be able to take away some of the things that the offense is trying to call and haul to potentially grow from a 5 to a 15 yard play. So
Hmm.
being able to be great and keen on that with guys like Xavier Watts, Tariq Bracy out there, your linebackers that can play well in space and get there in space, like your young guys like Jalen Sneed and JD Bertrand, even though he's a vet, can make those type of plays, can also inspire the offense that like, hey, the defense is playing their butt off, being able to make good plays and giving you another chance at it.
What about coaching, Left? We talked about the impact of Kirby Smart. We talked about having the preparation. Ryan Day did a great job preparing for Georgia's defense. Great job. Like positioning Johnson in the backfield, him running that route up the middle against the linebacker for a touchdown. The other plays, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is just a beast. I don't know how much you can call any route on the route tree for him. Yeah, he's pretty much going to do his thing. But I thought they did a tremendous job of knowing that they couldn't run, but finding ways to get to the edge with the run game, supplement, keep Georgia off balance, and then going ahead and attacking them in space with their wide receivers and their quarterback. Coaching, Ryan Day, preparation, in game, once things got tight, not so much, especially getting down to the 32-yard line with about 29 seconds and not being able to gain another yard, actually getting pushed back and ended up leaving a 50-yarder for your field goal kicker. Those are questionable things that he'll be asked about in the days to come. But coaching comes up so big in these games. We know the players decided on the field, but there are really important times during the game where you see the importance of that in-game coaching. And Kirby Smart came up big in the fourth quarter. How do you think that sits with Marcus Freeman and his development moving forward as a head coach?
Well, I think a lot of that comes from experience. Kirby Smart's been in the moment before. He knows that those games are a little different, and it comes to having moments like he did and knowing, okay, there might be something that they're trying to pull off because he knows, and isn't afraid to acknowledge that they are the team to beat. So when you're the team to beat, you got to expect different nuances that teams that feeling like underdogs, aka a Kansas State, was doing everything they can to score, and Alabama knew it. They're like, okay, they're gonna try tricks, they're gonna try everything, they're gonna go for it. We just gotta lock down and play a true 60 minutes of football because you can expect everything. But only teams that have been there before and know and who they are as an identity and a culture can understand that. I think Marcus Freeman took something from that and hopefully takes that into next season.
A Lucky Lefty podcast. I would just say this in closing. I had to text my big bro during the TCU Michigan game. I said, I think I was the only one on Lucky Lefty podcast when we had our guy, Coach Carl Reed, on that sat there and said, look, TCU is going to get them a game. I don't know why everybody thinks Michigan is just about to come in here and just knock them around. What did I say, Lev? I said they have won football games every type of way.
That's
They
right.
won. They blown you out. They came back from big deficits. They won close defensive games. Every type of way you need to win a football game. TCU did it. They'll be ready. I said Michigan. I don't know.
Yeah,
Now I
Michigan
did. I didn't
State.
predict that TCU would win. I just said I knew Michigan wasn't about to run away with it.
Yeah, the adversity that TCU was able to battle through it hardened them and toughened them to be able to take on height challenges like Michigan was. Michigan's just a front running team, like I've said all season. The
Hmm.
running game was good against teams that weren't good. And then when they played Ohio State, who was faulty at the run game, and I think a little intimidated from last year's beatdown, showed that, okay, this is a team that is fortunate with their schedule, won the games they were supposed to, but aren't the same type of team as going into these playoffs that have been battle tested, like a Max Dugan and TCU and how they've been constructed this year. So I do believe that the makeup of a team matters as well going into the playoffs. Ohio State was very well battle tested, had a lot of extra motivation and energy to get to the championship despite everybody thinking they shouldn't be in, and coming off an embarrassing loss versus their rival in Michigan, CJ Stroud, who hadn't beat Michigan in 2 years, coming with some more motivation. That's a team with a personality and a makeup that's going to give Georgia a little more than what they were expecting watching film. And I think a lot of that showed. Ohio State came out like they didn't give a darn who Georgia was, what they've done, and they played like it. It gave a lot of vibes of Bryce Young going against Georgia his first year, where Georgia wasn't given the intimidation factor and had to play football, and it was a real football game. Georgia looked like not an average team, but a team that was going against a team that was not afraid of them either. And when you're not afraid of a team like Georgia, you can see you can have chances to win because their quarterback isn't elite. Their quarterback is a player that is like the Wizard of Oz. He sounds big and bad, but you look behind the curtain, he's just an average postman, and they call him the postman, but it's true. He's an average quarterback, but playing on a spectacular team. But when you're not afraid, you can play him straight up and get down to the wire. Hopefully, have a chance to win.
Yeah, he is not an NFL quarterback by any means, but I tip my cap to anybody in the biggest moments that performs. That's tough. That's down 14. He, hey, but like you said, it's not like he doesn't have dudes around him. That dude has some wide receivers. He has some tight ends. He has some running backs. He has a lot to work with. And if he just doesn't make mistakes, Georgia's going to beat just about every team in the nation. And honestly, 13 and a half points is a lot of points. I don't know if I would even pull the trigger on that bet. But Georgia basically beat Ohio State with a C game. Georgia played a C game and beat Ohio State pretty much at their best.
Yeah, yeah,
That's scary because I don't anticipate Georgia playing a C game next Monday. TCU
yeah.
better bring it. TCU,
TCU definitely. And I don't think it was an emotional win for TCU. They looked like they was pretty confident, whooping them all game.
that's who
But
they are.
yeah,
Yeah. So TCU is going to play well. I just know Georgia won't play as bad as they played against Ohio State.
yeah, Georgia needs to have that boost that they have from the national championship, the SEC game to the national championship, where they came in and played with their hair on fire against their opponent the next time. But it's going to be a interesting game. I think one that I don't think the viewers expected to see TCU versus Georgia in the finals, but it's TCU's chance to walk away with one because I don't think they'll be back next year.
And see, it's stuff like this, man. Do your homework, man. He said Georgia went to the portal for wide receivers. They went and got one. They don't have dudes everywhere. They had two true freshmen make impact plays. The dude with the 77-yard touchdown, true freshman, runs a 10 flat in the 100 in high school, but they
Mm,
lack speed. Do your homework. AD caught a touchdown, big play against Michigan last year, got injured, hasn't played all year, comes back and makes another play. Sophomore. Stop, man. Stop. Stop thinking every big school goes and gets transfers. They have dudes on the outside. Dudes that just run past people against one of the best secondaries in the country, supposedly. Jim Knowles supposed to be, he's supposed to change everything, right? You saw
yeah,
the same Ohio State defense show up in the last two games. The same. You can scheme it up all you want to. When they go up against good competition, couldn't get it done. But you just said they lack speed. I did my homework. You said they lack speed. That means what you said was false.
yeah. Georgia never lacking speed or
Thank
size.
you. That's a ridiculous statement. It's ridiculous. At first, you say they went and got transfers and they lack speed. We disproved that, and then you want to say, well, they only had two. You're wrong. Pack it up, move on to the next discussion. Period. They needed a touchdown. They went to a true freshman. that runs a 10 flat in high school, but they lack speed. Come on, man, be better. Stop going at the low hanging fruit narratives. CFB Nation, Irish Breakdown, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We appreciate everybody. 5 stars. Leave it. Great comments. Man, we respond to all the comments on YouTube, Lucky Lefty Podcast. Subscribe, like, hit the share button. We appreciate you guys. You guys do so much for us. We love the chat. You keep it lit every day. LL question of the day. What are you guys going to do to bring positivity into your life in 2023? What's going to be the major change for you? We appreciate you. Left, what's going to be your big change this year?
Man, I think it's just staying the same, being consistent. I think growing the channel and the Lucky Lefty podcast is something we're looking forward to. But learning a new skill and reading some more books, man. I think the art of reading and writing is lacking with the more finger tapping we're doing on the phone. So, man, I challenge everybody to read some books this year.
Left, that's right up my alley. I actually was sitting in church yesterday and kind of got inspired and said I was going to, I already read, but I said I was going to dig in a little bit deeper because the majority of my reading is along the lines of what I do with teaching and church. But I want to step outside and start getting into some other readings. I was huge into the Greek mythology in high school because we had to do it for term papers and all of that stuff. So I kind of went down that road. But I really want to get into some of these new writers, some of these contemporary writers that are putting out some good stuff. So, put me on game. If you know a good book, please put me on game because I'm looking forward to it. I'm a lover of information and knowledge, man. Regardless of whether or not I agree with it, that's why you read books to get information. There's always something you can pull from a literary piece. The majority of the time, even if you don't agree with the overall premise of the book. So I would agree with that. And then I'm going to continue. I've been on this tremendous journey to just be healthy and do better along those lines. So I'm going to turn it up. I'm actually thinking about um, putting like a small little boxing part in my basement
Mm.
and just kind of like get into like a little bit of boxing for about 15, 20 minutes a day.
Okay.
Hitting
Yeah.
the bag, it's cardio, because I really tried to go to a gym left. I'm like, dude, I was thinking it was going to be like maybe $20 a week, $30 a week. Walked up in the gym, they like membership is like 100. I'm like, wait a minute, dude. This is just to come in and use the gym?
Yeah.
That's not even counting like personal training. This is just coming. I'm like, nah. I can go buy some bags and put it in the basement and just swing
Yeah.
as a
And it forces you to be creative, but that's the whole point, man. The
yeah,
price be high for creativity of the mind, man. If you
yeah,
want to work out, you're gonna find a way to work out.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So, man, our prayers, positivity goes out to everyone. Notre Dame fan base, Lucky Lefty Podcast, LL Nation, everyone that taps in and has made this podcast a success. As we said on New Year's Day, eternal blessings and eternal favor upon you and your families, man. The best is yet to come for you. Absolutely, in 2023. So that wraps up our discussion about what we learned in CFP and how it connects to Notre Dame. We're getting ready to rock on. Don't forget Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. You already know we spin it different. All right, left Marcus Freeman. If you guys have not, I'm going to put the link to the video. Did you see the hype video, the all access video after the game left?
No, I didn't get to see it.
It was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool. It was about 2.5 minutes, and I'm going to put the link in there for everybody right now, man. It was really good stuff. And shout out to Notre Dame media, who, in my opinion, really stepped up the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they stepped up their game this year with access to coaches. I don't know if it was just a change from Brian Kelly to Marcus Freeman, but there's more access to coaches
Yeah.
and more access to the players, and it's probably just overall promoting the program a whole lot better than in the past. They're really doing a great job connecting the dots to what a successful program needs to be at this point on and off the field. I really like it. I really like it.
Okay.
You think I should play it? You want to see it?
Yeah, I think you should. I think you should
Hey,
play
you
it.
think I should play it? I mean, I
Yeah,
can play
I
it for you
definitely want
guys.
to check it out.
Yeah. I can play it for you guys.
Yeah.
Left wants to see it, so let's go ahead and play it, man. It was yeah. All right, here we go, Left.
Hey, listen, at some point, man, all right? And I'm talking years from now. At some point, someone's going to ask you about this Gator Bowl. What the hell are we going to be able to say?
One thing these dudes don't know that they gonna find out today. We Notre Dame. And they ain't. And they ain't.
4-10 here. This drive starts the rest of the game. Buckner, the Fighting Irish, will come out 75 yards away from a touchdown they need to have to cut that deficit to 7.
That ball is a good one to Diggs, and Logan's taken off. Past the defense, Diggs, 75 yards, touchdown.
He throws, and the ball is picked off by Benjamin Morrison.
Gamecocks have scored in all three phases, and we thought Notre Dame was left for dead, and they've come back to get themselves in this game.
Your best is good enough. That's all we need. Look at me when I tell you that. Your best is good enough. That's all we need. Nothing spectacular. Just do your best. It's going to work.
And right now, Audric Estimate is the back you want in the game. Feed the beast.
Tyler Buckner all night. He's demonstrated he's not phased by the pressure.
Buckner takes it inside the 5 and back in the end zone.
Get the ball. Generate next snap. 6 tackles for loss for this defense.
3 free and outs in their last 4 drives. Buckner wants it on the first play, looking for Lindsay. Touchdown.
I'm like, I don't know if he's going to get it. You in another gear? I'm like, oh my God, he's going to get this.
Can't get out of there. It's going down. Jordan Botello. A fake. Here's Lindsay running on the edge. First down, Notre Dame.
Look on the floor.
Hands off to Diggs, right side, Holder's down. There he goes! And that was all she wrote.
It's the highest scoring Tax Slayer Gator Bowl ever. Notre Dame has 183 yards rushing in the second half. South Carolina has 8. Wide open is Evans. No one covered him. Touchdown, Notre Dame.
We do this, man. Airball chance, baby. Enough said.
There you go, Left. It's pretty good. I'm telling you, man. In comparison to previous years, what Notre Dame media gave to the what they gave to the. I'm telling you, man. In comparison to previous years, what Notre Dame media gave to the.
Uh-oh.
They gave to the.
But you're absolutely right. I think the best part about it, how they kicked it off, they're going to find out that we're Notre Dame and they ain't. And that's how we come into in the podcast, and that's how we come in the season under Marcus Freeman. We Notre Dame and they ain't. That's how we're going about recruiting. That's how we're going about the season. Is that teams, they can do a lot of the clownery, the buffoonery, all the tricks and the gimmicks that you want. But you're gonna find out that we're Notre Dame, and y'all not. Because we're gonna pop up with moves, with players and recruitment, with different lineups, with a quarterback that's a franchise guy. And you're gonna be like, how did y'all do that? Because we Notre Dame, y'all ain't.
Yeah, I agree, Left. Absolutely agree. Once again, kudos to ND Media, man. It matters how you promote the program. It matters not only to the fan base, but for recruiting It matters. Access to the coaches matters. Like we didn't have access to the assistant coaches like we had this year in previous years. We just didn't. And all of that matters, man. All of that matters in the building of a program, laying a foundation for what young kids want to see and what they need to see. Like this is how you build the younger demographic of your fan base. This is how you get them locked in moving forward, right? Until the winning takes place and the national uh, championships come, which we believe will come under Marcus Freeman. So, yeah, sorry for that echo. Um, the video kept playing in the background, our video. I don't know how I got to our video from me sharing the Notre Dame page, but it happened. Um, Left Marcus Freeman was asked about Tyler Buckner and his performance at the Gator Bowl. And, I think both of us would, what's the word? We were just, I don't want to say we were just, because we weren't satisfied with the performance. But just the fact that we saw development from a quarterback during a season and that he's a better player right now than he was when he stepped on the field against Marshall, it was like, okay, this is something you can hang your hat on and say, as he plays more, he'll become more polished. That's the word you use, Left. Like, he's not polished yet, but if he becomes more polished, he could be a problem. And Marcus Freeman, he was pretty happy with his quarterback after the bowl game.
And I told him on the sideline, I told him after the game that there's many different examples we use, but Tyler Buckner is an example of a guy that had a bumpy road. And the way he finished off this season, his first year having a chance to start, and the ability to just really tune out all the noise and focus on, his job. And that's within bowl practice, that's within a season, that's within a game. That's what I'm proud of. And
yeah, I mean, Left, he what he said there was it's crazy because within one game and one athlete, you saw the Notre Dame season pretty much encapsulated. Like ups and downs, tough times, disappointments, but ending on a great note, showing that you can come through adversity and stay focused on the task at hand. It was representative of the program and the team. Yeah.
You definitely saw the entire season in that one game from an inconsistency that Marcus Freeman pointed out to where we can play to the level of our competition and then we can turn it on when we need to in moments as well. You can tell that we got a great running game in the offensive line, but then you can tell that we need some work on our pass game. But you can also tell that if our pass game's working, we can put up a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that's been all season.
Yeah.
Defensively, we showed that, yeah, we're still young, making some communication mistakes, but then we also show we can become elite and get 3 back-to-back stops when you need it most.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to really show an array of what the season was for us, and especially in our quarterback position, impactful but inconsistent. And I think with a polishing of that position, it has set the team right on a polished level where we can have more points and less turnovers, but defensively play better because we'll feed off of the offense instead of vice versa.
Yeah. It's amazing when you talk about the ability to with the up and down game he had, they put up 45 points Left. And honestly, they treated South Carolina the way they were supposed to be treated offensively.
Yeah, we definitely did. And, I do think, too, that one thing that you can hang your hat on is that stacking wins feel good.
Heck yeah.
And being able to stack a bowl game win from especially last year's loss, where another high scoring game, by the way, but you got a chance to go into the offseason feeling good, knowing that in the spring you have something else to chase. But you also have some players that are pretty special that have emerged as well with Xavier Watts that you should lean on and work on developing because he can be something pretty special next year.
Marcus Freeman pointed this out as well, Left. It feels good to get into a game and know that when you want to run the ball and they know you're going to run the ball, that you can do it. And it got to like maybe late third quarter, and you could just see South Carolina. Literally, look, there were like two plays, I think, on the second to last touchdown drive where I saw I saw linebackers run into blocks Left. Like literally, they stood up out their stands and just ran into the guy and did this Left. They didn't try to disengage. They were just like, man, this is all I got. Like, I just need to show on film that I'm trying. Because there's nothing physically, there's nothing else I can do with these big dudes. Like Harry Heastand, and some D-Rock Irish, I think, said in the chat. That's dude. The improvement they made from game 2 to the second half of game 3, and then for the rest of the season to the Clemson game, dude, Harry Heastand is worth, man, his weight in gold and even more, dude.
It's definitely invaluable when you have a coach that's committed to getting the guys right and knowing how to get them right throughout the year, not having ups and downs where they flash because we figured something out and then we revert back into the old offensive line. I think you saw a constant evolution of an offensive line that is underrated that, we may not have won the Joe Moore Award, but we've never looked as bad as Michigan's offensive line did yesterday. So you could tell that one thing about us is that we're getting better and we're not regressing, but it shows a commitment that at all levels, from freshmen to even fifth-year seniors, that they may make mistakes, but they don't make the same mistakes twice. And shout out to Harry Heastand.
Absolutely. Lucky Lefty podcast. We continue to talk Marcus Freeman and his comments in the aftermath of Notre Dame's 45-38 victory over South Carolina in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. He was asked about recruiting, the game being in Florida, and what a win like this down south against an SEC team, what does it mean for recruiting?
For us, listen, the best recruiting we can do is to go out there and play well and win. And we'll find the right guys no matter where they're at because this university attracts the right people. And that can be in Florida, that can be East Coast, West Coast, we got a kid from Germany. And so it really, we recruit obviously nationally, but for these guys to go out there and play the game the right way and to beat a really good South Carolina team, that's the best recruiting you can do.
That's the best recruiting you can do, man.
Yeah, winning is the best recruiting, especially against teams that they love to say are, instant winners over us because of where they are located geographically. But whooping butt all across the country should be the best recruiting tool from California to South Carolina to Florida. I think that's going to be the constant. I think the biggest piece that Marcus Freeman can lean on going into these meetings with parents and transfers is that, look, we're winning. And we're going to, as long as we're making you better when you come here, that's what you should want in a program that you're coming to. And it's easy for the quarterbacks because we're making every quarterback that comes here better. But as long as you're winning, I think that's how you're going to stay in that top 5 recruiting class.
Top 5, right around there. I think they improve dramatically in 23. I think they get within the top 5 and challenge the top 3, if not the top spot. It's always going to be hard with the charge that Georgia and Alabama constantly puts up late each and every year. That's what they're doing. And they have a foothold in the South with the best kids in Georgia and Florida. So, it is what it is. And this is probably going to be not to say NIL won't continue to be a factor, but it won't be the same. This will be the last class, in my opinion, where NIL will be just the wild, wild west. You know,
Yeah, I think it'll be definitely a lot more shaped and together than it is now. Just more regulations coming, but I think that there'll still be opportunities for it, but it still only affects the top 5% when it comes to making a significant impact in your
Mhm.
recruitment. So
Yeah.
I don't look to see too much of crazy change, but there'll definitely be some shaping happening to it as well.
Left, we talked about the importance of coaching at the right times during big games. And there came a moment in that game where coaching mattered in the Gator Bowl. And shout out to the assistant coach of the year, Brian Mason, who got that award yesterday. Shout out to you, Coach Mason. You did a tremendous job with Notre Dame and transforming special teams, which had been in a deficit for a long time, in my opinion, under previous leadership. So shout out to you on the award yesterday. And Marcus Freeman and Mace, they combined for one of the best coaching moves second half that led to the victory when they the fake.
Earlier in the game to get, we wanted to see a look. And after we ran the punt, he said, "It's there if you want it." And right before we went out there, he said, "It's there." I said, "Let's do it." And we've been practicing that fake all year long. And listen, there's no more games left, and I wanted to run it. I knew going into the game, if the opportunity presented itself, I wanted to run it. They said, "Let's do it here," and we said, "Let's go," and we executed. It was beautifully executed.
Left, go ahead. Yeah, I already know where you're going.
Well deserved, man. When you got the phase of the game that was lazy for us, I'm not gonna say it wasn't good. It was just lazy. I think Booker had a really good time and good run at it when he was doing it, but to come and give some life to a unit that we've seen that can add benefit to us in the game, Brian Mason deserves all the credit and more. Hopefully, we can keep him and they don't try to rob him and make him a head coach somewhere where we got to beat him and down the line. But love what he's been able to do under Marcus Freeman. But that just goes back to the fact that Marcus Freeman put a great staff together from top to bottom and in all the crevices that you wouldn't think of having impact in the season. He made sure that he at least got somebody that was in the space that was worthwhile, that can add value. Brian Mason, great addition, and that impact for us is going to help players not only in their draft stock but on this team as well for changing the game as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Kudos to him. I remember talking to him in March when he had an opportunity to talk to the coaching staff for the first time, and he immediately let us know, like, "Yo, we're gonna make it a thing, special teams, and we're not dependent on youngsters. Our starters are going to have to play special teams, and it makes a difference." Like, if you've been on teams like that, you were right. I was referring more to Coach Polian in his time with special teams. Coach Booker definitely had success in the return game, block punts, things of that nature. Coach Booker definitely did a really good job before he ultimately left. But just the excitement that you have to create to get the best players on the roster wanting to play special teams.
And that's rare. Uh, but that's what Alabama does. Their starters play special teams.
Yeah.
And the want to play special teams makes it even better because we know that we're going to get effort where we're making game-changing plays and that guys are selfless in the fact that they're not looking to take a break but looking to get more action. And then on action that can possibly change the game because they trust Coach Mason. And I think that's where you need to really have the impact that is the trust in your special teams, that we're not just running out there to cover another part of the game. We're out there to potentially block a field goal, make a game-changing punt return or punt block, and really add impact for the offense to start with shorter fields or the defense to put them in pressure situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get out of here, we got one more clip, Coach Freeman, and he was talking about that pick six left. I saved the best for last because I know, dude, if you have to read between the lines. Like Coach Freeman is really good, man. He's a really good dude when it comes to handling the media and knowing how to choose the right words to keep everything cool. This is Marcus Freeman talking about that pick six when Notre Dame had a chance to go up 14, and Tyler Buckner threw the pick six that made it a tie game.
Looking for a specific look, and we thought we had it. Didn't have the exact look we were looking for, and the guy made a great play. You know, obviously, at that moment we were running the ball really well. You know, and again, ultimately we obviously shouldn't have threw it, shouldn't have called it. But the greatest thing about it was to be able to again use that situation as another example in the future, and the ability for that offense to have that happen, look at them on the sideline, say in about 5 minutes or 2 minutes, you're going to go right back out there. And for them to march down the field and score, that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Now, this is the issue. We've seen this before from Marcus Freeman. He alluded to it. And I think in time, because we've seen Nick Saban do this, we've seen Kirby Smart do this. Defensive guys that are still in tune with the offensive side of the ball and will veto certain things in certain situations. And I think as he grows, you'll see him take control even more in situations like that to say, no, wait, hold on. What did you call? No. Because he did it in the Syracuse game, if you remember. They were up tempo. They were running the ball in Syracuse. They got down inside the 5, and they wanted to change personnel, whatever the call was. And Marcus Freeman was like, no, keep going. And they eventually scored a touchdown. So that's just the nuance of head coaching that I think in a moment like that, if he had to do it all over again, and I think he said it, you learn from it for the future when you get in situations like that. And it won't become a problem. It's just a situation that arose. He said it. We shouldn't have thrown it. We shouldn't have called it.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely where Marcus Freeman needs to get in the weeds of as a head coach in the future, getting more involved in situational play calling on the offensive side to show his head coaching prowess, that he's in tune and locked into the game. Not that he needs to have a hand over things, but have his signature, have his impact where he can notice things as an observer, as a head coach, and be able to point things out to put the team in good situations, or to be able to put the team in situations where he can use his timeouts well, or call a punt situation well, or be in tune to where he can know on situational downs, do you go for it on 4th down or do you kick it on 4th down? I think sometimes head coaches that do make that decision fall asleep during the game because they're kind of tuned into the reps or the different fanfare because they aren't on every play. So I think that once he gets comfortable doing that, Marcus Freeman is going to grow as a head coach and be even more impactful to the program.
And that growth should lead to better days at Notre Dame, better records, and eventually a national championship. Lucky Lefty podcast. He's a smooth operator when it comes to the media already. And that's rare in your first season. Like he knows how to handle questions. He knows when someone's trying to come around the back door and trying to sneak an answer when the question has already been asked. He's very shrewd and very wise when it comes to dealing with the media. And the same thing he said day one is the same thing he's still talking.
That's right.
Now, ultimately, that has to be backed up with wins on the field. But look, he's the same dude, and you have to respect that.
Yeah, you like a guy that can stay the same. And, when you're coming from the hard knocks life of Dayton, Ohio, you learn, the tricks of the trade of the English language, old and new. And you're not going to be just twisted by the journalist ways of trying to get into the info. So, he's masterful in his technique. You learn a lot when you're from the 937, man. And shout out Marcus Freeman on keeping that hometown knowledge with him throughout any environment. It's pretty good.
Any way you can get Dayton, Ohio into the podcast, boy. I respect you, bro. I respect you. You're for your people. You rep your crew. You rep your region. I'm not mad at that.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I'm not mad at it, Left. Hey, Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. Man, set up the automatic download. Download us each and every day. We appreciate you guys. We had a fantastic month. Over 85,000 downloads for us. It's because of you guys. You continue to support us. We're going to continue to give you great content even in the off season. Great breakdowns of what needs to be done. Recruiting, player interviews, current and former players. We got it all set up and we're building on it to give you the best of the best on the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know we spin it different. Left, hope you enjoyed your New Year's Eve, my brother. I spent it at home with the missus. We celebrated the countdown together. Now, did you count down on Eastern time since you're from the East Coast, or the Eastern time zone, or do you do the Western Pacific countdown?
I kind of just watch what everybody else is doing. I don't celebrate New Year in the dead of winter.
You know what? Technically, a lot of people believe March is the real New Year.
Yeah, because how can you have? I mean, it was just a winter storm, and you talking about New Year? No, man.
But that's another show, another debate. You know what time it is.
Petticoat, petticoat, petticoat junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty historic? Petty Junction.
Petty Junction, pettiest story of the day brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com, that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. Left, Kayvon Thibodeau. Hey, bro, you can't be doing snow angels next to Nick Foles, dude, when this dude is knocked out, bro. Come on, bro. Then you go to the sideline and come on, bro.
Just a young guy.
Oh, this dude is doing snow angels. This dude, Nick Foles, is there looking like he's having a seizure, and this dude is doing snow angels, man, on the field. I'm like, man,
where they get these guys from?
Where do they get these dudes from, man? Then your boy Zaire Alexander. Oh my God.
Hey, he said I was getting bored, so I had to spice it up.
Yo, this dude
he's like that.
This dude breaks up a pass and hit the gritty, and that cat Justin Jefferson's face. I say this dude is buck wild. This dude is buck wild. Then his comments aimed at Shannon and Skip after the game in the locker room. He doubled down on the pettiness. I was like, okay. All right. It's amazing how much pettiness was going on. You know what else is petty? Nobody called us, bro. Nobody called us. I didn't know, according to reports that are coming out from down south, multiple outlets. I didn't know they had orgies doing like bowl preparation for teams, bro.
Yeah, so what happened?
According to reports, it was only one woman involved, dude. So you know what we call that back in the day when there's multiple dudes and one woman involved. Okay. They called it a sex party. That's the way they're calling it. Mm. And Shaun Butte was reportedly a part of it. That's why he changed his mind about staying and decided to opt out for the NFL again. So we're waiting for more information to come out. But, bruh.
So that's what Coach Kelly got going on.
Nothing, man. Look. Now, certain coaches have been dismissed that are part of the report. from what we're hearing. I don't know how, we're waiting for the confirmed. This right now, this is just bits and pieces coming. So the big story is really going to hit. But I think they jumped out in front of it because the young lady who was over, she was the director of recruiting at LSU. She's no longer there. So
they end up dropping her too, huh?
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what comes from it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was the football program which is the problem.
Yes. Yes. The fact that it's coaches, you know what? No, that's a problem overall. I'm not even about to try to make, like I said, I'll just wait until all of the evidence is put out there, all of the reporting is done. It is just not a good look. And this was in the week. No, this was after the SEC championship game. This took place after the SEC championship game, according to.
This was after the game.
Yes. Yes.
So what? So I guess what's the problem?
I was about to go down that road. Unless you're telling me there's some legal action taking place, or somebody feels, I don't want to get into that, dude, because it's a touchy subject. It's a touchy subject. I really don't want to get into it. I want to let it play out before I dig deeper into it. But just the initial rumors was good enough to land on the petty train. Like that. Because the NFL GMs are not going to let that die. Hey, Shaun Boutte has to answer to that, bro, when he meets with teams. There will be private investigators that find out what took place. So it's not going to die. It's going to come out. Because if he wants to be drafted, yeah, he's going to have to answer to that. It'll definitely be one of the questions asked by a GM that he sits across from at the NFL Combine. Absolutely. And, did you see the hockey player hit the gritty last week after scoring a goal?
The gritty needs to die. I'm sick of seeing
I don't know. The gritty on skates is pretty impressive, bro.
I'm so sick of the gritty. It's like how they took music from us or something.
You know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of the seatbelt too, from every cornerback. If they make a play.
I thought it was cool at first. They all doing it.
They all doing. I'm like, come on, man, stop. You're gonna wear it out. And I'm putting Benjamin Morrison. I didn't do it because he got injured. Benjamin Morrison, you can't be doing that, man. You can't be doing that fake hamstring pull. Dan, can't do that to us, dude. Don't play with our emotions like that, brother. I can't take that. We already lost Cam Hart. We eventually lost you to a concussion. Don't mess with the fan base like that. Get another celebration, my brother. Because that one, that's not it. Like, you were being a little petty with that one, man. Look, super chats before we get out of here. PK4 Mary. Thank you for your super chat. Please name 3 on each side of the ball who need to be asked to move on. Love you guys. I'm not comfortable with that. Asked to move on.
I don't want to say they're gonna be asked to move on.
That's kind of a harsh way to put it. I think there are several players that need to ask themselves, do I need to go? It's not about being asked to move on. It's like when you read the writing on the wall and you're honest with yourself about what's taking place within the program, then you have to do what's best for you. Do I think there are players on the roster that are going to go through that this all season? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's the natural shedding of every team during off season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I think if indeed a transfer quarterback is coming in, maybe a Ron Powlus thinks about it. Maybe Steve Angeli thinks about it with Kenny Minchie coming in. I mean, uh, kids have to think about it. The running back room is thick. I think the saving grace for the running back room is that they know the two big dogs are more than likely gone after next year,
Yeah,
right? Because you see the trend now with Jahmyr Gibbs putting his name in the draft. Like running backs are getting out of there after 3 years. Like
yeah, they're getting out.
I'm gone. I'm not sitting around in college for 4 years taking a beating. So wide receiver room, maybe there's a guy or two, but you have to feel like with the quarterback room getting better to most, that the wide receivers will want to stay. But you might have one person that feels like, yeah, I want to get out of here. The tight ends, it's tight end you. Like there's not a lot of tight ends that want to leave Notre Dame. George Tackett left to go be highlighted so he wouldn't have to be behind Michael Mayer, for NFL scouts. He did the best thing for him. You
Yeah,
understand that? So that was a smart move.
and we understand it.
Yeah,
It's not a
yeah.
knock.
Defensive line. I mean, there's some guys that have fifth year. No, I think Justin Adamiola has a fifth year, so he'll have to sit back and decide whether or not he wants to come back. Brandon Joseph already declared for the NFL. The
Now that
safeties are
might have been a
gone.
situation where they was like, yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, because he didn't play. Like I said, I think they are pleasantly surprised, or pleased, shall I say, with Xavier Watts and the way he's playing. Um, and then you got Cam Hart coming back with you lose Tariq Bracy, but Mickey and Morrison and Chance Tucker and the two guys they have coming in, you feel good. I think, if I'm not mistaken, um, there's a rumor out there, a report that they have a safety coming in for a visit via the transfer portal. I don't want to. I'll just say that until it's confirmed, and we'll put the name out there. But yeah, Domo Wap, thank you for the super chat. Shaun, Malik, Happy New Year to you and LL Nation. Appreciate you and everyone in the chat. Appreciate you spending it differently and allowing us to feel comfortable to push boundaries in the chat. All the best to you. It's all good.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Yeah, that's it. Left, another great show. Yeah, we'll sit and wait for the changes, right? Yeah, the portal is going to be hot, after these last bowl games, and more names to get into it, and we'll see if Notre Dame has some entries, and we'll discuss that and wait for the news of the transfer quarterback situation and any other transfers. But don't forget, transfer wide receiver out of Virginia Tech, Caleb Smith, is going to be right here on Wednesday with us. Lock that in. We'll be back tomorrow with another great show, great information. Left, I think tomorrow we'll get into what the players had to say. We'll hear from the
Okay.
players tomorrow after the Gator Bowl. And we'll start looking forward at, what needs to change, right? Because we already broke down the connection to Notre Dame and the college football playoff. We're going to connect that to the players on tomorrow. All right, so for luck, I'm Shaun Davis. We greatly appreciate you guys. Another great show. Have a great day. But most of all, you got to make sure that you spin it different.